And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Most Important Conversations daily meditations. These meditations are themed around the theme of liberation. We run these meditations Monday through Friday each week, and we have both guided and watcher-observer meditations that we alternate through. Before each meditation, there is a short talk given, and the talks are derived from our broader curriculum of material known as whole life architecture, where we have a community of people, a growing community of people who are working together to create an aligned life, a life by design versus tolerating a life by default. We are journeying together to become powerful creators of our life, and to create anything, it begins with liberating ourselves from our conditioning, which is a very deep body of work that takes time in order to get through. This morning, I'd like to open the meditation with a really simple question that has a complicated depth to it. And that question is, what are you constituted by? Or what are you constituted as? So when we think of creativity and we think of liberation, which is required in order to really activate our creativity, we have to understand that everything in our life is our creation, including who and how we show up as, and why we show up the way that we do. That our very being speaks. In fact, one way to think about this in whole life architecture, we talk about how everything speaks. Everything in your life speaks. It says something. It says something just by its very presence of why it's there, why it is in your space. And one of the ways that we speak, as we know, is in terms of how we show up. Not just when we're actively speaking, but our very presence and our very being is speaking to the people around us, speaking, having a dialogue to the environment back and forth. We are in a dialogue with environments that align or don't align for us. We are always receiving messages and information from our environment, and we also then speak messages out into the environment with the way that we show up, with how we are constituted. Most people don't really think about the fact that we are creators of how we are constituted, who we are constituted as, and why we are constituted the way that we are. Most of us believe that we are sort of like an absolute and obvious thing. This is me, I am this. But the "this is me, I am this" statement is really pointing to the "this is who I have been conditioned as" by my friends, family, community, by the society, by the circumstances in which I grew up in and continue to exist in. I am reconstituting myself daily as all of those things from all of those influences. No one is constituted as their authentic self, because your authentic self is inside of you. The self that interacts and mediates with the world is several layers from your inner authentic self. Your constitution includes the way you dress, your mannerisms, your manner of speaking, the words that you use in your speaking, which is directly tied to the level and quality of your vocabulary. Your constitution, if you really start to think about it, has many layers to it. And those layers are in front of the source essence of who you are. Those layers are mediations, like media, like television or a phone. They mediate and communicate out to the outer environment, to the world of effects, the world without, who you are, but it gets distorted along the way. Your true essence, very much like light trying to penetrate sunglasses, gets distorted through all of these layers, unless we become the creator of those layers and we start to consciously ensure that each one of those layers, how I show up, how I carry myself, how I speak, the words I use, how I am dressed, and more, that each of these layers are in alignment of your authentic self, your inner self. You can create yourself to be so constituted as perfectly aligned so that the mediated self, the physical body self, the self that is interacting with other selves, other individuals, and the environment, is a perfect or as close to perfect mirror of what's going on inside. But this isn't the way most people live. Most people are not constituted this way. Most people have an inner world that they shield and keep private from the outer world of effects. It's like they're wearing a costume, hiding their inner self and projecting a persona into the world that is unaligned with who they are. And this creates serious issues. It creates a sense, ironically, so many people feel misunderstood. Well, it will create this condition of being misunderstood. It actually will also create the condition for you to be confused about who you really are as you start to assume and conflate that the outward identity you've created to hide and shield the vulnerable inner world that you're trying to protect, you start to conflate and believe that you are the outer shell, the outer persona. And then every once in a while, your inner self, your deeper self, your true essence kind of penetrates and pokes through the layers. And then you have to shove it back down because the whole intention of creating this outer shield or shell is to keep your inner self hidden. An inner self that perhaps in your growing up you were taught not to have approval for. You were taught you were too much or not enough. You were taught you didn't fit in. And so we end up with a schism. We are constituted as confusion. We have an inner self that is not being fully expressed, that is not able to reveal itself through the various mediated layers of who and how and why we show up in the world of effects. And then we have this outer self, which is very much an act. And this constitutes us as confusion, and we experience confusion in life. We may find parts of our life align with our inner self and other parts don't, because we aligned them with the persona. In an effort to always fit in and to be validated, we find that we sometimes let our inner self reveal itself in certain circumstances, but in others it has to be shut away, boarded up, and hidden. And so we're always in this confused way of constituting ourself, always adjusting and pivoting and shifting, evaluating from moment to moment what the external environment, what we think the external environment requires of us in order to be validated and fit in, versus what really makes us come alive and aligns with us 100% of the time, and just being that. Who are you constituted as? Today, as you go out about your day, are you constituted as your true, authentic self in how you carry yourself, in how you walk and how you talk and how you dress and how you interact through all the different layers of mediation with the external world? Are you showing up authentic and in integrity with who you actually are? Or are you playing this persona game? For many, you may not even know the answer, because you may be so constituted as your persona for so long, you don't even know who you are anymore. You don't even have access to the essential self that perhaps was long buried. And what happens when we live like this is we end up having mental breakdowns. We end up having mental health crisis. We end up experiencing things like anxiety, depression. We end up existing in our life in a sort of perpetual undercurrent, under the surface, but there all the time, undercurrent of fear. Fear of not fitting in, fear of not being validated, fear of not looking good. And so we're always bending and contorting our outer shell to fit in. And when we do that long enough, we completely disconnect from our authentic self. Who are you constituted as? And if you don't know who you're constituted as, then that alone should tell you quite a bit. That should tell you that you've lost yourself in the conditioning and the persona that you've been carrying and presenting to the world for so long. The power of doing the work of liberation, to liberate yourself from your conditioning and to connect to the essence of you as a creator, is the most powerful, life-transforming path you can be on, because it leaves nothing to chance, including who and how and why you show up in the world the way you do. That, too, becomes an architecture of your own creation, so that you can align your inner self with your outer world, versus having all of these mediated layers of faux personas created only to fit in, only to get validated, only to look good, all the while repressing your inner self and not allowing your true nature to constitute you. So many people show up in life without realizing they are constituted as things like disappointment, constituted as fearful, constituted as complaint, meaning the way they actually interact with the outer world is through the lens always of finding fault of what's not working, or in judgment, or in resistance. Because until we connect to our deep inner authentic self, and we allow that vulnerable part of ourself to sing, to speak through our being, to define our character, we're always in this game of shifting personas and trying to avoid ever being found out. It's like we're playing a game of perpetual hide and seek with our true self and trying to shield it from ever seeing the light of day of the world without, in terms of how we interact with other people. Our language, our posture, the way we carry ourselves, the clothes we wear, the words we use. All of this constitutes how we show up in the world, and if we're not the creator of it, then we are simply living a life of default, presenting a persona, a fake self to the world. Who are you constituted as today? When you go out after our meditation and you get on with your day today, who are you constituted as? Have you paid attention to how you carry yourself, to how you dress, to how you speak, to the energy that you bring to every situation? Are you attentive to it? Is it by design? Are you intentional, or is it simply by default, just trying to make it through the day and have the least number of people get curious about who you really are, and instead you're in constant distraction with the persona? It's not a judgment, because most people have found themselves there until they choose to recreate themselves and be otherwise. But an acknowledgement and an awareness that you may be living this way is the beginning to liberating yourself from that conditioning that you may have learned so many years ago. Because you were taught you're too much or not enough. And so you started to bend to the world, doing whatever and becoming whoever you needed to be to seek approval from those outside of you, abandoning yourself, abandoning your true nature. Who are you constituted as today? I'm going to invite Mignon now to join us for our guided neurosculpting meditation this morning. And as she joins, I would just invite you to have that in the back of your mind, not actively thinking, but just giving consideration. Are you showing up wholly and completely constituted as your authentic self? Or do you have all of these persona layers burying yourself, not giving your true self the ability to have a voice in the world? Consider that as we move into our meditation this morning.
Thank you so much, Chad. And welcome everyone to today's neural sculpting meditation. I'll be guiding you using the 5-step neural sculpting process. And this process helps to calm the nervous system. It primes the brain for creating supportive ideas and gives you agency in how you move through life. And along the way, you'll hear me offer what I call brain cues and toggles. You might notice me spelling out words, dialing up or down, or inviting some playful and even bizarre imaginings. Each of these techniques is intentional and part of how we engage both hemispheres of the brain. And I've been guiding this meditation over the past 2 weeks, allowing you to build familiarity, deepen your awareness, and strengthen the effects of the practice. So returning to the same meditation regularly can be incredibly supportive, helping to reinforce desired outcomes and create lasting shifts over time. I hope it serves you in a meaningful way. So let's begin. I want to start by inviting you to get comfortable as we play with the idea of being grounded, so that we might start to soften some of the sharp edges of our more negative thoughts. And we'll start this process by just allowing the mind to do whatever the mind wants to do. It might want to have thoughts, and that's okay. because the only thing I am really interested in inviting you to do in this moment is to notice that your body is right here, settling. And you might like to give your neck a gentle stretch. Maybe allow your shoulders to drop. Roll out wrists or ankles if that feels good. Maybe adjust pillows or cushions, making yourself a bit more comfortable. And while you are bringing awareness to your body, I would like to invite you to notice that you are breathing. You have an inhale and an exhale, and these partner up in each and every moment to rise and fill and release and empty. So, if you can notice the rise and fall of the belly or lungs and the gentle release as your exhale spills right out of your body, you might even be able to slow it all down if you'd like to. Your breath in and out is always supporting you in each and every moment. And if you would like it to get slower or longer, your very own awareness can do that. How amazing our body listens in each and every moment. As your breath breathes itself deeper and slower, you're welcome to invite the body to settle just a bit more. Weight and mass moving down toward the surface of the earth as gravity reminds you where the ground is. The earth is gently pushing up against you, and perhaps in this particular moment, you can let yourself sink even deeper into your seat or cushion or the ground. You're welcome to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And you might notice some things particular to this moment in time that add to your comfort emotionally or physically. Maybe that's the familiar space of your room. Maybe that's the softness of a blanket or pillow. Or perhaps that's the fact that you have a place to rest your head at the end of the day if you need to. Your environment in this moment is supporting you just as your breath breathes itself. So, what if you could stretch into your own creativity playfully? How interesting would it be to imagine being a shirt? What kind of shirt are you? A cozy favorite? A bold pattern? A soft tee? What would it feel like to be worn to move with someone's day? Then rest again, hung in the closet or folded with care after a wash. Or maybe instead, it's even more fascinating to imagine being able to travel into space completely equipped for any atmosphere and ready for exploration. Do you navigate in an airship peering out into the vast galaxy? Or do you simply materialize on the moon and other planets? From this space where your body is supported and your creative mind is awakened, I would remind you that this grounding meditation is for you to do with as you see fit. It's yours to author. So, what would it be like to bring to mind the word or concept of being grounded? Perhaps a word or two arises in your mind to describe the state of being. Maybe a word like CALM, calm, or stable, or balance. Maybe something else. Whatever grounded means to you. What if you could take that concept, assigning it a color or texture or vibration? Would grounded be smooth or vibrant? Would it be a lovely shade of orange or a deep blue or something else? And if you were to ask your creative mind, where in your body would you like to activate this grounding? What does that look like for you? You might imagine yourself growing roots of this color and vibration out of your feet or your spine to root down into the earth. Or perhaps you imagine grounding is something else for you. Maybe grounding for you is reclining in a comfy chair or lying in the grass with your spine connected to the ground. This is your mind cultivating an association with grounding. You might just let your breath go a bit deeper, acclimating, resting. And because you are grounded, what would it be like to bring to mind one of your beliefs about yourself that is a bit uncomfortable for you? One of your complaints or I am statements. This might be, I'm not smart enough, or this might be the concept of lack or insecurity or something else that has been up for you. And as you bring to mind this belief about yourself, I wonder if you might imagine the texture of this vibration, this construct, the color of it. Maybe it's bumpy or sharp or metallic. Maybe it's a dark gray or something different. Maybe it has a sound. But the truth is, your body is supported and your breath is breathing itself, and you have already cultivated grounding. So, what if you could journey through your body to explore where you might be holding the color and the vibration, the words of this belief that does not serve you? Maybe you imagine it to be in your throat or your head, or perhaps you imagine it to be laying on you like a weight. Maybe it will surprise you as to where it might be in your very own body. And there might be sensations you observe or thoughts that arise. Because you are established in your grounding, what would it be like to let creative mind have permission to release or shift what you have found in regards to this belief that doesn't serve you? Maybe you let this fall right out of your body, down those roots you might have made. Or maybe you imagine this turns to vapors so you can exhale it long and far out of your space because you're grounded. Maybe you choose to change its color or sound so that your body grounded holds it differently, softer, easier. Your body might not even need to hold it at all anymore. Breath is breathing itself, Your body is listening to your mind. Your mind is guiding the story. How deep would you like your next 3 breaths to go in and out as you finish releasing what does not serve you and settling into your grounding? And maybe you notice a shift in your body, a shifting sensation, a shifting perception. You might even just imagine a shift taking place. And if you observe or imagine a shift that feels better to you than that belief before, you are welcome to remember that. Anchor into that with a gentle hand gesture with your non dominant hand. Or you might prefer to place your hand somewhere on your body as a reminder of the grounding you created for yourself today. This is your body in the present time, your mind associating with grounding, your creative mind shifting what doesn't serve you. You might even want to choose a word, an activation phrase that tomorrow could remind you of this experience today. A word that is meaningful to you or fun and nonsensical. What's your word? Imagine seeing your word or phrase written in large letters in the sand. And as much as you have grounded yourself and allowed that grounding to shift what doesn't serve you, naturally you will get better and better, finding it easier and easier over time. Every time you use your hand gesture and each time you think of your word, creating an access to grounding. Just as your breath was breathing itself, this story can exist all by itself in the backdrop of your very own mind, available anytime you need it. And you are welcome to explore this story as it plays or continues to shift into something more and more wonderfully aligned with you for the remainder of this time and beyond. Embrace it and be well.
And welcome back, everybody. Reconnecting to the world without from the world within. And as you go about your day, again, give consideration to who and how are you constituted? Who are you constituted as? What are you constituted as? Are you constituted as your conditioning? Constituted as your fear? Constituted as pessimism and complaint, because we see what and who we are. So, who are you constituted as? Because that's the life you're experiencing. Give some thought to that as you go about your day. And also take the opportunity today to try on constituting yourself as something more intentional and more aligned with who you feel yourself to actually be. Try that on, maybe not the whole day, but in certain circumstances and interactions, and see how it feels to show up as your authentic self and not as your learned, habituated conditioning. Wishing you all a wonderful day, and we will continue our meditation.